Hello everyone, this will be the one-shot Hatsume Mei's quest to prove she can be ethical and stuff, written and read by Insect Overlord. This fic is rated for general audiences and no archive warnings apply. Here's the summary. Mei is denied acceptance into the UA Hero course because she lacks ethical values or something. Honestly, what could have given them that idea? So, she goes on a quest to secure her spot by showcasing her ethics for all to see. She goes about doing good deeds, like opening the door for strangers. It was the school door. The stranger was covered in a strange amount of hands, but Mei didn't judge. She was too ethical for that. And helping old people, without faces, cross the street to get away from the heroes chasing them. Congratulations, Hatsume, the chipper voice of the principal announced through the hologram on Mei's desk. You passed the practical, written, and tech exams with flying colors. Unfortunately, your score on the ethical portion left much to be desired, so your application to the hero course had to be declined. However, you were accepted into the support course, provided you take supplementary ethics lessons. If you still want to go into the hero course, you'll have an opportunity to transfer at the half-year mark. Much like the general education students have, if your performance at the sports festival proves you've learned enough. Welcome, Hatsume Mei. This is your support academia. Mei stared dumbfounded at the space where the hologram had just been moments before. Her? Not ethical enough? What could have given them that idea? Mei was plenty ethical, and she would prove it. She'd show them her ethical ways, and soon they'd be begging her to be a hero. Ethics was on her mind all morning as she got ready for her first day of class. Just to be sure, she skimmed WikiHow for how to act ethically. Not because she didn't know how, but merely to brainstorm ideas. Mei was just so ethical that sometimes she forgot. She scrolled through the page, skipping the parts about identifying one's own ethics to get to the actual application. Mei already knew she was ethical, she just needed to know how to prove it to others. 1. Empathize with people. When Mei arrived at UA, she was too excited to get to the labs to take note of the fantastical architecture, or pro-heroes wandering the halls. However, when she arrived, she was disappointed to find all the tools and materials locked away in steel boxes at the back of the room. Not that locks could stop her, but it was yet another barrier to her and her new babies. To make matters worse, she'd only opened, smashed repeatedly until the locks broke, half of the boxes before she'd been stopped. Honestly, she was starting to wonder if she'd have better luck scavenging the scrap beach and creating an independent company, rather than wasting her time at a hero school. You must be Hatsume. The stranger with a metal contraption on his head grumbled. Oh, he already knew her name? Wow, she must be more well-known than she thought. That's right, she declared, abandoning her smashing to strike her signature pose. Mei Hatsume, that's Hatsume, of the future Hatsume Industries. Right, the stranger sighed. I'll unlock the boxes during lab later. There's orientation and your school classes first. Mei's jaw dropped. The whole reason she came to this stupid school was to have access to state-of-the-art materials 24/7. What did he mean she had to wait? What's next? Is he going to tell her she can't sleep in the labs after school? No. Mei took a deep breath. She was supposed to empathize with people. The stranger, who she now realized was probably her teacher and not just a random shirtless man with a metal head, was certainly just as upset as she was. Just imagine how difficult it must be to teach promising students year after year and not let them tinker constantly. What a dull life he must lead. Okay, all right. How long does all that take? Till after lunch period. Mei's eye twitched. This whole ethical thing was turning out to be harder than she thought. 2. Be selfless. Mei was running late, and it was only her second day of school. Luckily for her, she hadn't read any ethical rules about punctuality, so she was probably in the clear. Just to be safe, She decided to enter through the lesser-known side entrance when she arrived, instead of the main one packed with reporters. As she jogged toward the gate, she noticed a conspicuous figure leaning on the wall. Now, May wasn't one to remember faces, but something in the back of her mind told her that this face hidden behind multiple disembodied hands was in her class. Besides, people liked it when she remembered things about them. She was sure she read that somewhere. She should talk to him, give him some of her precious time. That was a pretty selfless thing to do. "Hey, Krusty," she called as she approached. The boy startled a little, looking around as if afraid something would jump out of the bushes to cart him off. "We're in the same class, right? What are you doing standing outside, and where's your uniform? Come on, school's about to start." Her probably classmate said intelligibly. "What, you waiting for someone? Well, you'll both be late if you stay here any longer." May will admit he was pretty good at being ethical if he was waiting for his friend to his own detriment. Damn, she should take notes. "No, well," he stuttered. May slid her keycard across the pad, and the light above the door went green. "Forgot your keycard, too?" she asked. Krusty nodded, expression both unsure and hopeful. "Be selfless." She sighed. "Well, come on then. Just don't tell anyone. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, and I didn't read the rule book." She had more important things to do than read that damn principal's 1,500-page-long book of ramblings. The crusty kid, covered in hands, scrambled in after her. The gate shut with a click of finality, and the light switched back to red. 3. Embrace honesty. Hatsume-kun, this video clearly shows you letting a villain into school grounds, then helping him escape not even 1 hour later. Care to explain? May blinked, giving the principal a condescending look. "No, Nezu-sensei, you must be mistaken. I didn't help a villain. I helped a classmate who'd forgotten his keycard and uniform. I was quite ethical." Nezu proceeded to double her ethics lessons for absolutely no reason. 4. Respect the rights of others. May was in a sour mood. Power Loader, because apparently her teacher was Power Loader, her favorite hero. She really needs to work on her facial recognition skills. Had kicked her out of the labs when school ended, and her mom stopped letting her tinker at the house after the incident, TM, which left May to do her work on a random rooftop, away from prying eyes and flammable curtains. There was a bang of boots on the other side of the roof, just as May bit the thread to tie off the last stitch. She looked over to see an older man with only a mouth on his face. May didn't comment. She was too ethical for that. The man narrowed the area where his eyes should be when he presumably saw her, before they seemed to light up in recognition. "Hello, dear child," he said. Okay, weird way to greet someone, but May didn't judge. "Hello, random man," she replied, before turning back to her project, already bored with the encounter. "I was wondering if you could help me," he asked. May narrowed her eyes in interest. This sounded like a way to gain some ethics points. "Yeah, all right. What's up?" "Well, you see, I was merely doing some grocery shopping." He held up 2 duffel bags, and 2 gold bars spilled out of them at the movement. They looked heavy. "My son's birthday is coming up, you see. Well, as I was walking away from the, store, a hero started chasing me." He frowned. "He said I wasn't allowed to shop because of my face." May gasped. What the heck was wrong with this hero? Didn't he know he was supposed to respect the rights of others? "That's horrible," she shouted, just as another voice that would be recognizable as All Might if May was literally anyone else, shouted from a few streets away. "Get back here, villain!" "Is that him?" she asked. The poor, faceless old man nodded sadly. "Don't worry, I'll help you," she promised. Down in the alley closest to the roof, May draped her newest invention over the man and his grocery bags. Fiddling with some buttons, his form morphed into that of a short old man, or rather, the sheet made it appear as if he morphed. In reality, it was all May's genius. She preened, mentally patting herself on the back when it didn't explode. Now just give me your hand and I'll help you cross the street. Not only would she be respecting his rights, but she'd also be doing a good deed for all to see, which certainly didn't hurt her motivation. As they trekked slowly across the walkway, some lunatic in a blue and red costume appeared in front of them and picked up one of the bars the faceless man had dropped. May looked up to meet his eyes. Nope, she didn't recognize him. "Civilian, did you see who dropped this?" His voice boomed. May cringed at the volume. Internally, she warred with herself on the right answer. She was supposed to be honest, but she was also supposed to help others and protect their rights. The villain was about this tall, and scary-looking with no face. He continued. Yeah, frick this guy. Didn't he know it was rude to comment on other people's appearances like that? Never seen him in my life, she deadpanned, going back to helping the faceless man that was her meshwork of good deeds. The overly muscular man jumped away, and May finished helping the grocery shopping man cross the street. After 10 minutes and multiple shouts and honking from impatient drivers, they arrived on the other side. The man removed the cloak in another alleyway and thanked her before leaving and taking the cloak with him. May protested, but he was gone too fast. Oh well, maybe it would make a good gift for his son's birthday. Satisfied she'd been so ethical, May skipped back home. Soon, the heroics teachers would be tripping over themselves to let her into their classes. 5. Honor your promises and obligations. The next day, some random man showed up outside her door. He was tall and missing his eyes and nose. May scrunched up her face. What was this stranger doing at her house? "Hello, dear friend," he greeted. Friend? Was she supposed to know him? "I've come to ask for your assistance once more, if you'd be so kind." What was this old man going on about? Once more implied she'd helped him before. "Do I know you?" The man narrowed his not eyes before gasping and stepping back in shock, one hand resting over where she assumed his heart was, unless he was missing that, too. "Why, of course. We're good friends, after all. You helped me get away from someone chasing me yesterday. You promised you would help me, so I assumed you would be willing to lend a hand once more." He detailed the events of, presumably, yesterday. "Oh, okay," she agreed easily. She was supposed to honor her promises, after all. "What do you need help with?" The apparently not stranger proceeded to detail over 43 different babies he wanted her to make for him, all while May's eyes grew larger and larger. When he finally finished, she started to cackle. "Of course, I'll pay you double your usual rates for everything, and rest assured, everyone will know about your inventions very soon." He gave her a tight schedule, but May was an ethical person. She would honor her promises, and if that meant her babies happened to get used, well, that was just a bonus. 6. Don't violate trust for your own gain. For the second time since her enrollment, May sat in the principal's office. For whatever reason, they had it in their heads that she provided the villains with a bunch of her inventions. May scoffed at the idea. The only one she'd been making things for was an overzealous and weirdly rich father. Nezu slid a photo across their desk. It pictured a boy with cracked skin and more than the standard amount of disembodied hands stuck around his body. "Do you recognize this individual?" they asked. May gave it a once-over before denying. "I've never seen him before in my life." She's pretty sure she would remember someone with such a strange outfit choice. The man beside the principal, someone shirtless with a metal bucket on his head, pinched the area where his nose should be. Who was he again? "You literally let them into school last week," he claimed. "Nah, she's pretty sure she would remember that." "Just tell us the truth. Are you being coerced into helping these people? Is your family being held hostage? All the gadgets were literally signed Hatsume Industries. Come on, kid. If you're being blackmailed, we can help you out. You just gotta talk to us." "What?" May shouted, suddenly much more engaged in the conversation. "Someone's using my name? This can't be happening." The principal and Metalhead shared a look. Metalhead closed his eyes and breathed out through his nose. Please, Hatsume. 3 people died. How about this? You give us the information, and I'll give you extra lab time. May will admit she was tempted to lie, but if she actually was working with this hand guy, then she'd be violating his trust if she told the heroes, and that wasn't very ethical. So, despite the pain it brought her to turn down the offer, she chose instead to slam her hands on the principal's desk. Excuse me? If I was working with these guys, which I'm not, what makes you think I'd violate their trust like that? Wow, and you said I was the unethical one. Powerloader made a constipated face as May stormed out of the office. Nailed it. They're totally letting me into the hero course for that one. 7. Do not steal. Okay, May will admit she'd broken this particular rule, but it wasn't her fault. She didn't know it was a rule when she stole the 10 tons of fiber optic carbon plating, and it's not like she could return it now. She'd already used it to make a tank and sold it to the faceless man. If she gave it back now, that'd be like reverse stealing. Stealing squared. She couldn't do that. Besides, 6 out of 7 wasn't bad. Definitely enough to get her into the hero course. 8. Do not impose your ethics onto other people. When May finally got to this role, she realized how hypocritical the heroes had been. They kept telling her how she needed to be more ethical, and kept sending her to those stupid ethics lessons, when in reality, it was them who were being unethical. They were all breaking Rule 8. She stormed across the campus for the teacher's lounge, intending to gather everyone and tell them that, but when she slammed open the reinforced double doors, she found everyone already gathered at a meeting table, with a PowerPoint presentation open. The projector read, "The Hatsume Problem." 1 hour earlier. She's clearly working with the villains, Eraserhead grumbled, voice muffled by multiple layers of bandages. Those machines that brutally murdered 2 of my students proudly displayed her name. Oh, I'm well aware, Aizawa-kun, Nezu chirped. However, I am unsure if she knows that. How could she not? Present Mike questions. She literally stole 10 tons of fiber optic carbon plating and spent 3 weeks building 47 gadgets. It's a little hard to forget something like that, ya dig? Nezu took another sip of their tea. Yes, well, it seems she did. Powerloader crossed his arms. I don't see why we don't just arrest her. Sure, she's a genius, but if she was working with villains, even unknowingly, she's a danger to the other students. I agree with Majima, Midnight seconded. Let's not forget, 13 lost their life, as well as 2 students. This situation should be handled quickly, before anyone else dies by her hands. Well, it wasn't her directly. Ectoplasm cut in. Keep in mind, there's a possibility she didn't know they were villains. But she built a tank. A tank, Ecto. How could she not have known? Mike interrupted, his quirk activating toward the end. Ectoplasm ignored him. She tried for the hero course originally, right? Why didn't she get in? Correct. She applied to dual enroll in the hero and support courses, but sadly failed the ethics exam. It was a shame, really. She shows so much promise, Nezu chirped. You're joking, right? Unfortunately, Eraserhead knew the rat was serious. You haven't said that about a student since All Might himself. Well, if she failed the ethics exam, clearly she's unfit to be a hero, or even a student here, period. Midnight slammed the table. Quite the contrary, Kayama-san. She has more heroic potential than any student I've ever seen. I was hoping she could transfer once she finished supplementary classes. Well, that was before she found herself in this predicament, though. Eraserhead chose to ignore the comments about her potential. So you admit this is a problem, then? Maybe she showed some promise before, but not anymore. She needs to be expelled. Really, Eraserhead thought she needed to be arrested, but if she was anything like Nezu, a simple jail cell wouldn't be enough. Nezu grinned widely. Not quite. After everything, I believe this only increases my conviction. After all, what better way to keep her away from the villains than to make her a hero? To her credit, May only paused momentarily at the strange gathering of heroes. At least she didn't have to hunt them all down. She cleared her throat and started to speak. I spent the past 3 weeks being as ethical as I could. I helped old men cross the street and opened doors for strangers. I honored my promises and protected people's rights. Heck, I even tried putting myself in Metalhead's shoes and empathized that he was just as frustrated as me that every class wasn't lab. Powerloader and Ectoplasm shared a look. But today I found out that one of the most ethical things you could do is to not push your ethics onto others? What does that make you all, huh? Ya chumps? You are correct, Hatsume-kun, Nezu interrupted before she could continue her spiel. In fact, you've done such a good job being ethical, we've decided to let you into the hero course. May blinked, fingers still raised from where she was listing off her points. You are? Indeed. In fact, we've even built a dorm for you on campus so you can stay your nights in the lab. How does that sound? Are they kidding? She would be in the hero course and she got to spend her nights in lab? That sounds great, she exclaimed, previous anger forgotten. After all, she was already in the hero course. She didn't need to worry about silly things like ethics anymore. As May skipped out of the teacher's lounge, Powerloader leaned over to whisper to Nezu. Are you sure this is a good idea? Yes. Hatsume's only drive is to have her inventions known of and used by others. If we do not let her become a hero, I fear she may accidentally become a villain. Well, more than she already has, anyway. This concludes Hatsume May's quest to prove she can be ethical and stuff. I hope you guys liked this. I had some fun writing it, and if you hear strange noises in the background, that's my 4-year-old brother rolling cars around because he can't be quiet and he has to be in the room. So yeah. Anyways, that's it for now. And thank you so much for listening.